Every camera that I own, as soon as I buy it, I immediately buy a camera cage for it. And specifically, I always choose SmallRig. SmallRig has always been a brand that I like because one, they're not incredibly expensive, and I think all the stuff is pretty well made, and I've never had any issues with any of the products that I buy from them. So I was a little disappointed when I had purchased the R10, and where I usually get all of my SmallRig products is Amazon, and Amazon didn't have anything from SmallRig. And I recall that I saw a smaller creator on a vidIQ channel review. His name is Reyes Production, and I'll link his channel down below because I reached out to him after I saw him on the vidIQ channel review, and I saw that he had the R10 and that he had a cage around it. So I watched this video and I looked for links at the bottom of his description, as you do, and I couldn't find anything. So I immediately sent him a quick comment and said, hey man, I can't find the SmallRig for sale on Amazon. Where did you get yours? And within a matter of minutes he responded, at least I think it was a matter of minutes he responded, and he sent me a link to B&H, and that's where I got this. So unfortunately, a nice bit of information. If you're in the United States and you're looking for the SmallRig camera cage for the R10, you're not going to be able to find it on Amazon. I was able to find it on B&H Photo thanks to Reyes Production. Again, I've linked his channel down below. Big thanks to him. He's a small creator, so I'm happy to shout him out for this, especially since he was so responsive. In this video, we're going to be opening up this SmallRig Black Mamba camera cage for the Canon R10. Canon R10, I buy, like I was saying before, I buy camera cages for almost every single one of my cameras. I have one just as an example here. They add, you know, 1/4, 1/4 and 1/8 thread holes all throughout the entirety of the cage, and even some extra ones down at the bottom. So you're able to really rig out your camera, and you can get it to a point where, you know, SmallRig. So if you want to have all of this stuff that's on here is made by SmallRig, and even this handle here. Like I said, everything is linked down in the description below, but again, SmallRig has always been a brand that I really enjoy. So let's go ahead and open this up and check it out. So that is everything out of the box. This happens to be a full cage for the Canon R10. Just upon inspection, I see that there's obviously the tool that always comes with these. A ton of mounting positions, but this is cool. There's another cold shoe mount here, which is nice. I don't think I have any other camera cage that has that. Sometimes on this side they'll put like a NATO rail, and sometimes they won't. But in this one, it looks like they put a cold shoe mount over there. Very cool. The thing with the R10, you know, in addition to, so I remember putting a cage on the very first camera that I ever had, which was the Canon R50, M50. And I remember the camera being so tiny that it was difficult to hold, right? So I got the cage for that. And this is the SmallRig camera cage for the M50. And this made the camera really robust in your hand to make it more comfortable to hold for longer periods of time. I don't have obviously the biggest hands. You know, each one of these squares here is about 1 inch. So if I put my hand down at the widest, maybe 4 inches, 3.5, something like that. So I don't have the biggest hands, but what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches from thumb to pinky. So again, not the biggest hands, but the R10 is a smaller camera, and holding it would definitely pose a challenge. My pinky is barely hanging on down here at the bottom, if you can see that. It's not terrible, but it would definitely be better if it had just a little bit more. And compared to the M50, the R50 over here, this one is particularly small. This is a tiny, tiny camera. The R50, very similar to the M50. So this right here is gonna be nice. So let's go ahead and put this camera in here. And it looks like for this, I need to take off my anchor, what's it called? The Peak Design anchors that I use. We're gonna be putting those back on because I always have, in addition to, you can see on all my cameras, SmallRig cage and Peak Design clips on almost every single one of my cameras. And Peak Design clips, they sell them separately. So they're nice to have an extra pair because I have the opposite, the other links, the other side of them on all of my on a lot of my camera straps. First thread hole is at the bottom. There it is. I can already tell that this is going to be really good on this camera because it was tiny before. At least it felt really tiny in the hand, and you need the camera to have some nice weight. Makes it more comfortable to hold, makes your shots a little bit more steady. And some camera cages have more than one mounting point so that you can secure the camera, because the camera only has a thread hole down at the bottom, right? And if the camera cage is attached on both sides, but it's only threaded here, and your camera gets thrown in your bag or you pick it up and you just handle it, that single point is gonna shift on either end. So sometimes they put either safety pins down at the bottom so that it doesn't wiggle. So there's two multiple points of contact, not just the bottom of the thread right here. This one specifically comes with mounting points down at the sides here, so you'll be able to see that this single point isn't going to be on its own, so the camera won't shift inside of the camera cage, which is really important. Looks like this guy goes over here. Look at that. That's cool. And the thread size for the, you can see here, either side is different than its counterpart, and the tool for it is what goes at the bottom of the camera cage down here, which is really cool. So you have everything that you need. Secure that. One thing that I can say about these, the metal that comes with the hardware and the tool itself, it's not really meant for you to like put a lot of force down in there. You want to go as like until it gives you a little bit of resistance, and then maybe just I don't know, if you're looking at a clock, right? You know, from 12 to 1 to 2. When you get it to nice and snug at like 12 o'clock, go just in between 12 and 1 in tightness, and that's probably the max that you wanna give it. You don't want to give it any more than that because it doesn't need it. The next one is gonna go over here on this side. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now see, there's something interesting here that, like, something that I watch out for. I never put the anchors on either just the camera or just the cage. I always try to find a point where it's going to be mounted onto the camera itself, the anchor, and also the cage at the exact same time. And this side over here, if you notice, this is part where the cage is. There's also one down here. All SmallRig cages have that bar there at the bottom, so you can either mount it here. And I can tell you why in some cases that's a good idea. It depends on, I've come to realize that when I wear my harness for one camera, the one that's on this side is better because the camera's held like this. When I bring this one up from the bottom, if this guy, I have to cross my body, I'm reaching and I'm getting in the way of where the strap would be. So whenever I carry a camera on this side, I always carry it from the bottom over here. In this case, it doesn't really matter, and that's just a preference, really. You know, you can choose to have it wherever you want, but if you're in action and you're shooting all day, reaching over to the side and always running into the strap is going to be super annoying. But what I was saying earlier was that on this side over here, I wouldn't put it onto this side here, because this side, what do you think would happen if over time you're not paying attention, or I'm not paying attention, and this screw starts to unthread, right? What's attached to this is the anchor and your camera strap. So if you're moving around and this thing is swinging back and forth and you didn't realize that that was thin right here, this could fly off and poof goes your camera, because on a harness, you only lock it up in one spot, right? You don't have two on each side. I guess you could for extra safety, but see, for example, here, I'm not gonna put it over here. I'm probably gonna put it down at the bottom here. Yeah, I guess that would be cool. Would that be acceptable? I think it's gonna have to be. Yeah, and that's not a big deal. I have tons of cameras where I have the strap down at the bottom. Yeah, it's not a problem at all. The only thing here, I think on the R5 over there, I have it on the bottom there, is that sometimes you might not have it sit flush. But here it is. Here is the SmallRig Black Mamba cage for the R10. This right here makes it a lot easier. And the other thing that I wanted to say about camera cages is that, yeah, they add extra protection and they add a bunch of functionality by adding multiple thread holes. Like, for example, now I can put this over here. I can take another, let me see, is this by SmallRig? Yeah, this guy here is from SmallRig as well. I know that I can just mount it right here. This is pretty common for, you know, all kinds of the thread sizes, so there's nothing really special there, right? But it's just cool to know that I can have it set up the way that I want it. This is probably a little ridiculous, but I think you get my point, right? So yeah, in addition to having it all the extra functionality with having the multiple mounting points, I can put a NATO rail up here, and that'll allow me to put other accessories over here. There's yeah, all kinds of stuff. But in addition to all of that, it makes the camera look really cool. Look at this thing. Now it looks super beefy. Let's see if we can put this lens on here. This lens right here, this is one of my favorite lenses, the Sigma RF 18 to 50 millimeter. This lens is really cool. It's a crop sensor lens, so this is gonna go great on here. Yeah, this camera is the R10. It's a nice camera. I'm actually gonna be doing a full review on it after I get some test shots and I get some video footage, vertical and horizontal, and take it out to the real world and really mess with it. But I wasn't able to do that before because I didn't have the cage. I didn't feel comfortable going out. It's uncomfortable to hold without it. And yeah, like I said, SmallRig makes cages for practically every single camera out there. At least I think that they do. So I was pretty bummed. Spend another second and say thank you to Reyes Production. He's the one that I found that had the camera cage through vidIQ channel review, and I saw that he had it, and I asked him directly. He didn't have any links in the description for the camera cage, so I had to ask him directly, and within a couple of hours he got back to me and sent me a B&H link. So thanks to him, I got this cage, and now I can go out and fully test this camera with confidence, put you know, the Atmos monitor on. If you guys didn't know, the Atmos monitor lets you record internally onto the monitor itself. And what that does is it lets you get footage of the actual back of the screen of the camera, so you get to see in real world what the camera looks like, what it looks like to me and what it looks like to the end product when I deliver it to you. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be having fun with this. And as far as first impressions for the Canon R10, I have to say that it isn't a bad camera at all. And how I plan to use it is obviously for photography, video, but I think it's going to be a great camera for me to set up on my desk over there as a full-time vertical. Or maybe I can find a lens that allows me to have a good wide enough that I can shoot both, because this has a 24 megapixel sensor, so it's forgiving. I'm able to, you know, crop in just a little bit if I needed to, and I can shoot a horizontal, and then from that pull a vertical format on it. I just need to find the right lens. I think I need something that's wider than, you know what, the 10 to 18 is coming out from Sigma, or it might be out already. So I might pick up that, because that would be, because it's a crop sensor, right? So crop sensor 10, 10, and it's a 1.6. So I think that it's the 10 millimeter turns into a 16 millimeter, so super wide with 24 megapixels. That'll give me enough room to be horizontal and vertical at the exact same time. I'll be able to pull both files. So yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna do that. And that's how I'm gonna use this camera. After using it for a little while, I can definitely say, and I've talked to people at the camera shop that I'm local to, that's local to me. And one of the guys said, I mentioned, is like, yeah, the R10 is okay. I was really surprised by it. I said that like kind of passing, and he stopped me and he was like, I think that the Canon R10 is probably the #1 camera to recommend to brand new users. And I said, really, why? And I think he mentioned the one because of the price. I think it's less than $1,000, so it's like 800 or 900 bucks, something like that. I forget the exact price. I know it was under 1,000, but it just has a bunch of features that I was really surprised with. It does have a tiny battery. Oh, and one thing that I noticed really with the R10 that I don't notice on any camera is, check this out, this is a funny quirk. The camera door, or the battery door is not spring loaded, and it like, let me see, and like, it like flops around, which is super weird because I didn't notice, but I thought as soon as I saw it, I was like, that was kind of weird. No other camera. See, this is spring loaded. I'm holding it up and it still like pops up, right? Even the old M50, if I remember correctly, yeah, look at this. So if I grab any other camera, let's grab this guy. Yeah, even this is the R8. This guy is spring loaded. So every single Canon camera has a spring loaded camera door, but this guy just doesn't. And I was like, what the heck is this? It felt weird and it felt super cheap, like it's just, I don't know. The spring-loaded action gives it a little bit of a premium feel, which I think is a really weird, as Doug DeMuro would say, a really weird, or an interesting quirk, I think he says. But yeah, the SmallRig cage here really beefs up the look of the R10, makes it more comfortable in the hand, and just an overall better experience. So, all right, so you may notice that I picked up a bunch of cameras. I have a lot of these Canon cameras. I really love them. And if you want to learn about why I have all of these cameras and how I use them, you're going to want to check out this video right here. Adios.